My name is Nyab Khwb, and I lived in northern Vietnam, right near the border with China. One day, the Vietnamese authorities came to our village. They came to persuade my brother and me to go with them, promising us that we wouldn't be sent to fight or even carry weapons. The officials told us, "We just want you to come learn a few things, some basic training and simple tasks. After 2 years and 6 months, we'll send you right back home." We believed them. We didn't realize it was a trick to deceive us. They knew that if they told the truth that we would be sent to war, many of us would be too afraid to go. So, we trusted them and agreed to join. We traveled to a province near the Chinese border and stayed there for about 5 or 6 days. Then, they suddenly sent us to Hanoi, the capital city of Vietnam. Once we arrived, they took us straight to a large military base. There, they divided us into different training groups. My brother was assigned to train with heavy artillery, the 103 and 105 millimeters cannons, which could shoot targets far away and high in the mountains. I was chosen to train with the 37 millimeters anti-aircraft gun. I also learned night operations, like how to sneak into enemy bases in the dark. The training was tough. Days were spent firing and marching, and nights were spent learning stealth and defense tactics. We trained like that for 3 grueling months. Out of about 1,000 soldiers, only 80 of us were selected for this intensive heavy weapon and assault training. When we finished, the commanding officer came to speak to us. He said, "You've completed your training. Tonight, prepare your equipment. We will send you to the front." That night, around midnight, they loaded us onto trucks. We traveled in complete darkness, not knowing where we were going or what was waiting for us. We drove for hours, until dawn began to break. When I finally lifted my head and looked around, I realized something that made my heart tremble. We had crossed the border. We were already inside Laos. At that moment, I knew this was no longer just training. We were going to a real battlefield. When dawn broke, the trucks stopped on a dirt road, surrounded by tall trees and heavy mist. This place was nothing like Vietnam. The hills, the sounds of the birds, even the smell of the earth, it was all different. One of the soldiers whispered, "Brother, we're in Laos now." The air was thick and silent. No one spoke loudly. We could only hear our boots on the wet ground as the trucks drove away, leaving us behind. We knew then there was no turning back. They led us to a hidden camp deep in the forest, made of bamboo shelters, covered with leaves to hide from airplanes. The commander told us the enemy was close just beyond the next mountain ridge. That night, they gave us our real weapons for the first time. Heavy rifles, ammunition, grenades. My brother was assigned to his 105 millimeters gun crew, and I was stationed with my 37 millimeters anti-aircraft unit. I remember holding my gun, staring at it under the moonlight. It felt heavy, not just the metal, but the weight of what it meant. This gun was for killing, or being killed. Around midnight, we heard a distant thunder, but it wasn't thunder. It was artillery. The ground trembled as bright flashes lit up the sky. Someone shouted, "Positions! Positions! Enemy ahead!" I could barely think. My hands shook as I loaded my weapon. The sound of explosions echoed through the valley. We fired back when ordered, though we couldn't see the enemy flashes of light across the dark hills. Then came the sound of airplanes. The commander yelled, "Anti-aircraft team, prepare to fire." I aimed my gun at the sky, where faint shadows moved through the clouds. The air filled with smoke and the smell of burning metal. My ears rang so hard I couldn't even hear my own heartbeat. When the firing finally stopped, the jungle went silent again. A few soldiers whispered prayers. Someone was crying quietly in the dark, a sound I will never, ever forget. At sunrise, I saw what war truly was. The ground was torn apart. Smoke still rose from the trees. Some soldiers didn't move anymore. They lay still, their eyes open to the sky. I stood there, frozen. My brother came and put his hand on my shoulder. "Don't look too long," he said softly. "This is only the beginning." From that day, I understood. We were no longer sons, brothers, or farmers. We had become soldiers in a foreign war, fighting in the mountains of Laos for a cause we barely understood. Thank you for listening to my story. If it touched you, please consider liking this video and subscribing to hear more stories like mine.